Good morning, everyone. I want to start out by saying a special welcome to all of you that are joining us today, all of you that are watching the replay that will be recorded and posted in our WhatsApp groups, on our YouTube channel with the Royal Alliance, and wherever it may access you, if it's sent to you via an email, what have you. Glad that you're watching this. I want to put something to you. 5 frogs are on a log. 4 of them decide to jump off. How many remain? The answer is 5. Just because they decide to jump off, of course, doesn't mean they'll take the leap. I want to talk today about commitment, making commitments, keeping commitments, and importantly, what do we do if we've invited someone to make a commitment and they don't keep it? How many of you have found that as you're building your business, that lots of people say yes, express interest, but don't do anything? You invite them to take action. It looks like there's some type of consensus of agreement and understanding. You feel like they're on board. Maybe they even joined the business, but they didn't do anything. And you're left wondering what's happened. This happens far too often, doesn't it? And so I want to address this from 2 angles, because it comes from the position of how we invite them to make commitments. Are we being direct and clear enough? And 2, are we helping them be accountable to those commitments and ensuring that there is strong follow through? So let's talk about this, because it's really important, isn't it? That the reality is many people make and fail to keep commitments, and it happens in our business. It happens in our personal lives, and it happens everywhere. And of course, the challenge with it, if people don't make and keep the commitments, if people don't keep the commitments, I should say, it erodes trust. And that's a very challenging scenario when it comes to relationships, isn't it? Because trust is the very glue that binds any relationship together, be it in business or be it in our personal lives. So first of all, why is it that people don't keep the commitments in the first place? Let's look at this, because maybe it might be something on our end that we're not doing correctly. So I want to explore this for just a second. First, perhaps it occurs because we didn't ask directly for what we wanted. Maybe instead we dropped hints. Maybe we were vague about the details, thinking it's clear, but in reality, it isn't. How many times have we heard the response, "I thought you said," or perhaps, "I didn't know you meant that"? Yeah, we need to be specific when we're extending an invitation. Another reason that we have problems is sometimes we assume we have an agreement because we asked someone to do something or we told them to do something. Just because we ask doesn't mean there was a commitment. So that's another problem too. Another reason that people don't keep the commitments, if it's something on our end, if we've dropped the ball, we don't get a clear commitment from the other person. Maybe we just settle with a nod of the head or a grunt or a sure, but we don't get a firm, "Yes, I will do that." Yeah, we need to make sure we get a clear commitment. So maybe we start out being a little bit vague. We drop hints, we're elusive about what we're really asking because maybe it's scary putting ourselves out there, asking someone to do something. Because that's the reality, isn't it? In many instances, we feel very vulnerable when it comes time in our business activity to extend the invitation. Maybe it's fun showing the plan. Maybe it's exciting talking to people about the product. But when it comes time to actually inviting them to buy, inviting them to join, inviting them to do something, that's the part that makes a lot of people scared. Why? Because we're vulnerable. One, we're asking for help. Will you do something? Yeah. And the other thing is, we're putting ourselves at risk of rejection. No. Yeah. And as a consequence, or maybe perceived rejection, I should say. And as a consequence, people might feel a little bit nervous around this side of the communication process in building the business. Now, the other reason, of course, that we sometimes struggle in extending invitations is we don't understand that a commitment is a contract that defines who does what by when. It takes up two parts. Will you do this? Followed by, yes, I will, or no, I won't. Yeah, we need to be clear. It's a two-part agreement. It's a two-part agreement. It's a request and it's a promise. It's like a handshake. You need to have the two hands going together and doing that in order to make it work. So let's say, I'll give you a fun example. Let's say my wife said to me, oh, it'd be great if you could help me cook dinner on Saturday. And as I'm rushing out the door to go to my meeting, I say, that might happen. That might be possible. Yeah, that might work. It's no firm agreement, is it? That might work. So what happens? She's informally requested my help. At worst, it was a hint. It would be good if you could. Yeah, and I say that might work. Both of us have been vague and ambiguous. Of course, you can anticipate the argument that could ensue on Saturday if she goes, where's the help? And I said, I didn't say I would, I said I might. Well, first of all, that would be a jerk if I said that, right? But that's the problem with a lot of people extending commitments and not getting the follow through. We offer hints and then we accept elusive responses back. And therein lies the problem in many instances as to why people don't always keep the commitments. So let's look then at what can we do? What can we do? Here's something that I think is really helpful. We want to make sure that when we're inviting people to make and keep a commitment, there are really four things that are essential. We need to make an explicit request. Spell out specifically what to do by when. Make it really clear. The next thing is we want to get a clear commitment back from the other person. So we want to listen. Make sure that we're hearing the right words coming back to us, not an evasive nod or yeah, it should be fine, not a should or a could be or it might be okay. Let's get a clear, specific commitment. Make wise promises. One thing that I find is really helpful when someone has accepted an invitation to do something is promise them specific benefits or rewards that will come as a consequence of them keeping that commitment. For example, let's say I've got a prospect that I'm working with, someone on my contact list, and we have our Seiko Kai event or our Master Day. Maybe we've got our annual convention, which is coming up just around the corner in October. And I'm inviting them to come along and watch and be a participant in that event. Come and be in the audience with me, right? And so I invite them and I say, on this specific day, on the Saturday, we have a very special event with Nikan. I think you would love what you see. It's inspiring, it's edifying, it's inspirational, and we're going to really get the chance to experience what a home-based business is really all about. We've talked about this before. You've expressed interest in having your own home-based business. This is something you've got to see. But will you join me on that weekend and check it out? Notice I ask a specific will you question. The answer when I ask a will you question leaves them two options, yes or no. Yeah, that is very helpful, very helpful. So they say, yes, I will do that. I can come, right? Let's say that's the answer they give. Yes, that sounds great. I'm coming along. I can follow up and give them the details. I'll email them all the relevant information. And then I say, look, I want to promise you something. As you come to that event and you open your heart and you listen with your ears and with this, you're going to hear something that's really going to be of great importance to you. And if you take action, this has the potential to change your life. I know that because as I've listened with an open heart, it's changed my life as I have taken action on it too. Yeah, you can promise great benefits. So as a part of your invitation to take action, As a part of that commitment process, we need to invite them specifically with clarity, get a firm commitment, and then promise them specific benefits. And then the fourth part, of course, is we want to make sure that people honor their commitments. One of the ways that we make sure that they honor their commitments, and I really like this point, is that we focus specifically on breaking it down to this. We focus on them keeping their promise versus them doing what I asked them to do. There's a difference there, because a failure to keep a promise is all about integrity, isn't it? So hear the difference here when I say this. Oh, I asked you to watch that video by Thursday, versus you agreed to watch that video by Thursday. What happened? Can you hear the difference? If someone hasn't kept their commitment and you're wanting to follow up, because the challenge is when we're following up with people and someone hasn't kept the commitment, that can lead us into a space that, again, makes many people feel nervous and uncomfortable because of the potential risk for conflict. Why didn't you keep your commitment? I need to address this. What do I say? How do I say it in a way that maintains the relationship and at the same time strengthens it or gets them to that next level where they're keeping that commitment? What can we do about that? Yeah. So a great way to focus our response there is on the promise that they made. Focus on the promise that they made to you versus what you asked of them. There's a strong difference there. So in that scenario, I think we can make a huge shift when we're holding someone to account because of that approach, yeah, of helping people understand you made a promise, and what's the deal? What happened? You know, help us understand so we can move forward and get this fixed. Yeah. So, because the reality is when someone doesn't keep their promise, there is an impact in three ways. The task at hand suffers, the individual on the receiving end loses trust, and the relationship strength is compromised. So we do need to address this with clarity and make sure, first of all, as we do raise it with clarity and as we are specific, that first of all, that if we are holding them to account, that we didn't do it with a sloppy request in the first place. Yeah. So let's start there and make sure to begin with, as we follow up with them, you know, we said that we were going to have this video watched by Thursday. Maybe you're sending them a recording of a webinar or of a presentation of the Better Way introduction to MiCA. Let's say we're doing that as an example. And they said they were going to watch it by Thursday. You want to begin by finding out, do they recall? Let's understand. We said this was going to happen by Thursday. And they go, oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot. Oh, what happened? What happened? It's a real simple question to ask. Yeah, because in many instances, people say, what if I don't know why that broke down? What do I say? The question is lying there within you to begin with. You're wanting to know what happened, correct? So ask that question and say, oh, devastated you forgot. What happened? Yeah, or you said that you were going to come along to the event. I noticed that you didn't show up. What happened? You can, if you ask it with a smile, yeah, look them in the eye. So you've got strong eye-to-eye contact, be clear and direct. So what happened? Give them a chance to respond. And maybe they forgot, maybe there was a legitimate reason. Maybe there is, yeah, there could have been a death in the family. You don't want to jump on their back and say, next time, keep your commitments, right? You want to find out first what the reason was before you go back and reconfirm the commitment and invite them to do it again. Okay, so let's find out what was the reason that this didn't happen. understand all of the details around that, and then say, let's move forward. Let's do this now. Yeah. Maybe today is the day we watch that video presentation, since you missed it when we gave you a week before. Let's get it done now. And give me a call back tonight or this afternoon when you've finished watching. Yeah, let's pick up from where we left off. I think that's really important. I think this is a skill that requires each of us to study, to practice and re-practice and re-practice. Because I've seen too many customers register as registered customers and not place an order. I've seen too many distributors join the business, place one order for themselves, and then stop and do nothing. Or worse, they join the business and then they do nothing. They neither recruit anyone else or place an order. And you go, what was the purpose of that? Yeah, something took place in that space that was terribly wrong. Yeah, and it's a shame for them, and it's a shame for the distributor that brought them in. And I think what happens in many instances is it all comes down to how we invited them. Did they know what they were doing, what they were being asked to do? Did they know what commitments were being required of them? And was there any meaningful follow-up afterwards if those commitments weren't kept? Because if nothing happens afterwards, if the person never placed an order, if they never went out and signed someone else in and started building the team, that to me suggests that not only were they perhaps unsure of what to do, but at the same time, the person that brought them in, their sponsor, did zero follow-up. Yeah. So we need to make sure that we do the follow-up. If we put all that work in, all of that work in to bring someone in, and we know it takes a lot of work, don't we? A lot of contacts, a lot of follow-up, a lot of sharing, a lot of product demonstrations, a lot of invitations to meetings and so on. It takes a lot of time and effort to bring someone in, and then we celebrate and we feel victorious when they join us. We want to make sure that all of that effort counts. And here's an interesting statistic. Those that are active and engaged in the first 3 months of their business are typically active at the end of the year. Yeah, meaning the end of their 12 months. Here's the sobering truth. Those that are not active in the first 3 months of their business are typically not active at the end of their first 12 months, which means it becomes imperative for all of us as we're building our business to make sure that those that join us and those that participate engage and get active right away. So that means that once they join, we need to make it clear that we have a list of different activities that we can invite them to participate in. What are they doing? Are they on that list, that watch list of ours? Are we using that watch list in our back office? First of all, I think if anyone that is new that we've joined, we put them on that watch list so that we can track their activity and support them as much as we can. At the same time, I always encourage pulling out the incentive programs and get them using that as their business strategy. That as their business strategy is a great way forward. What's the first plan? Get to executive straight away. Do that in your first month and you get the Power Start benefits. Yeah, let's run at that. Then let's run for Club Ki. That's a quarterly incentive. You can do that across a 3-month period and get some great rewards. Let's do that. Why is that good? Because that's pushing me towards running for Team Kaizen. That's an annual incentive. So you've got a 1-month incentive, you've got 3-month incentives, you've got 12-month incentives. And all of them lead you to a place where you can have a healthy, robust, growing business. And of course, from our perspective as a sponsor, it gives us a chance to engage, to interact, to extend repeated invitations, and to help them to move forwards with clarity, with purpose, and conviction. That's what we want to have happen. Yeah. So, like I said at the beginning of our call today, there were 5 frogs on a log. 4 of them decide to jump off. How many remain? 5. Just because they decided to jump doesn't mean they'll take the leap. We need to make sure that when someone makes the decision, they truly decide to leap and they take action. That happens when we extend clear invitations that are specific in their nature, that are easy to be understood, and that we have a firm commitment coming back. It's a clear handshake. It's an informal contract, if you will, where people know what is being expected and they know what they need to do by when. And of course, we promise them those benefits and rewards for the action that they take. Yeah. When we're having that type of interaction and clear communication, then great things happen. I want to extend a promise to each of you as we close today, that as you put this into practice, as you work and get outside of your comfort zone and invite people with clarity and with specificity on what they need to do and when in their business, to either join, to either buy a product, or to take the next step in moving forward. If you take these steps and follow them through, it will make it easier for you to give effective and meaningful follow-up. It'll make that a more rewarding experience, and it will make it a more successful experience, because people will have the greater confidence in what's required of them, and a better chance of that getting done is significantly increased. Yeah, if you want to increase the odds of people keeping their commitments, it starts with the way that we extend the invitation. Yeah, that's where it begins. So it comes back to us. But we can turn that all around by being specific, clear, direct, promise those blessings and benefits and rewards, and then see what happens. And then have the timely follow-up. Follow it through, follow it through, follow it through. And like I said, I promise you, when we do it this way, we'll get better results. We'll get more action in our business. And with more action comes more result. And with more results comes what? Greater confidence. Greater confidence in ourselves, greater confidence in our team. And when we have that greater confidence in each other, our hope for what lies ahead grows. And we know, what is it that builds this business? Hope. It's the anticipation of what's to come, what lies ahead. That's where our dreams are. Our dreams reside in the future. And if we want those dreams to come true, if we want our hopes to be realized, then we need to have an increase of confidence. And that will come from the now, from the way that we behave here in the present in getting those results. So let's do that and watch our hopes and confidence in the future grow as a result. I thank you for being with us today. I hope this has been helpful. Watch it, rewatch it, make some good notes if you didn't. And please, of course, share it with your team so that they will make good, clear commitments and do effective follow-up with their teams as well. Thank you all very much, and we'll speak to you next week. Adieu.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
See you later.
Thank you, Ben.
See ya.
Excellent, Ben.
Thank you.
Cheers.